Today I have another Georgette Heyer novel, and this is absolutely my favorite, The Grand Sophy. And I think it's probably everyone's favorite of all the Georgette Heyer books by far. I've never seen anyone who disliked this one. And of course, it's another sweet romance. That's all Georgette writes, and Georgette, Miss Heyer. And the plot is enemies to lovers, although they are cousins, which was typical back then as well. And the angst, I would say, I would put it at a 3, only because of Sophie's frustration, and I'll get to that in just a second. Our hero is a nice guy, but we don't like him. He is high in the instep. Of course, he's got his reasons. As the book goes along, we find out his father is rather irresponsible, and he has had to step in and take over to save the estate and to save the family. So he's taken his job a little bit too seriously, and he's changed a lot, therefore leaving none of his brothers and sisters that are really happy with him, especially his sister Ceci and his brother Hubert. And you'll learn a little more about them and their relationship as well as you go along. And of course, our heroine, Sophia Stanton Lacey. If anything, Miss Heyer was great at coming up with names, and they're just awesome. You love her, she's a 1. She's definitely a 1. She's awesome. Some of the other characters in the book, we've got Herbert, the brother, and he's in all kinds of scrapes, and they have learned not to depend on their brother because he won't listen to them. He is so involved in trying to save the family that he has changed, and he doesn't mean to, but he's given them the feeling that he doesn't care about any of them anymore, and so they've backed away from him. Cecilia is the same way, and she's a romantic, and she was set up to marry, and that falls through because he gets the measles. And so in the meantime, Augusta Farnhope. I mean, is that not awesome? Augusta Farnhope. I mean, beautiful man, and he's a poet. So of course, our romantic Ceci falls in love with him, and of course, that's all he's interested in. But Ceci is determined that she's in love with him. And then, of course, we've got Lady Ombersley, who is always on the verge of swooning. She's in having the vapors. She is rather scatterbrained. And Sophie is her brother's daughter. And Sir Horace is, we don't get much of Sir Horace in this book, but just a little bit that he's here, and when he's talked about, you know he is a powerful figure. He's a diplomat, and he's on his way to Brazil, and he stops by and pretty much gives them no choice, and he's going to dump his little Sophie off to them for a while. And she's very, she's no problem. She's very obliging, and yeah, so you know what's coming. And Lord Ombersley is just, he's there very little, but you can tell he's definitely the problem when it comes to the household funding. So when Miss Stanton Lacey arrives, little Sophie arrives in all of her glory and steps out of the carriage of steaming horses stacked high with luggage, and she's 5'9" tall. She has a glorious horse called Salamanca. I mean, the names are wonderful. An Italian greyhound, a monkey named Jaco, and a questionable parrot who she just bought, who was assured doesn't have foul language. Where could this novel possibly go wrong? Sophie brings it, and she finds out that in very short order that this house is totally disarray. Charles may be bringing it back financially, but he has made a mess of the family. And so Sophie fixes things. That's what she does. That's what she's been doing all across, following her father all across the continent. And so she sees it her duty to salvage this family, along with Cissy and the brother, and of course, Charles. And she and Miss Waxton, who is the fiance of Charles, who is, you'll figure out right quick, is the reason that Charles has gotten so high in instep. We don't like Miss Waxton from the get-go. And number one, she comes in fussing about the dog, first thing out of the hat. So she doesn't like animals. Yeah, she got to go. And so anyway, the whole novel is based on Sophie trying to save this family. And she does. And of course, she rubs Charles the wrong way. He is certain that everything she does is out to destroy him. And it's a delight. And it's a lot of fun. And I can't imagine anyone not enjoying the Grand Sophy.